Hello Bookish friends, welcome to my 2025 goals wrap-up video. In this video, I will talk about how I did on my 2025 reading goals. As for my Goodreads goal, like the previous 5 years, I've set my Goodreads challenge to read 100 works. And in the year 2025, I read 130 works. For my Goodreads TBR challenge, I had 400 books on my Goodreads TBR in the beginning of 2025. And my goal was to decrease this number by 75 books at the end of the year. And at the end of 2025, I had 307 books on my Goodreads TBR. I'm very glad that I achieved this goal. For my in-person book club, Bağlaç Conjunction Book Club, I read Zesto, Psomi by Feyza, Hepçilingirler, Bir Kimya Meselesi, Lessons in Chemistry by Garmus, Tatlı Betüş by Aziz, Nesin, Toplum, Böceği by Kerem, Işık, Tatar, Çölü by Dino, Buzotti, Luna by Buğra, Gülsoy, Elimde, Viyoletler, Beklenen, Sevgili by Selim, İleri, Hayatı Sevme Hastalığı by Sibel K. Türker, Aşkın Celladı by Irvin D. Yalom, Vegetarian by Han Kang, Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan, The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin, and last but not least, I read Kimdir Bu Mithat Karaman by Doğu Yücel. So unsurprisingly, I read the most number of books for my in-person book club. As for my online book clubs, I read 2 books for Fear of Missing Out book club, which were Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro and A Fine Balance by Rohinton Mystery. For Reading the Globe book club, I read 3 books, which were Clean by Alia Trabuco Zeran, Beyond the Door of No Return by David Diop, and Edo's Souls by Stella Gattiano. In Agatha for Alice read-along, I read quite a number of books as well. Cesetler Merdiveni, The Body in the Library by Agatha Christie, The Labors of Hercules by Agatha Christie, graphic novel adaptation of Five Little Pigs, Beş Küçük Domuz by Michael Giurafa, David Charrier, and Chandre. Three Blind Mice by Agatha Christie, Absent in Spring by Very Mesnakot, who's of course the Poseidon for Agatha Christie, Spider's Web by Charles Osborne and Agatha Christie, The Underdog and Other Stories by Agatha Christie, and lastly, Mrs. McIntyre's Death by Agatha Christie. For the category romance online book club, I tried to read a category romance for every month, and those books were Hero in the Nick of Time by Maria Ferrarella, Cassandra by Chance by Betty Niels, Honolulu Cold Homicide by Barry R. Flowers, Grave and Miss Secrets by Patricia Jones, A Sheriff's Stars by McKenna Lee, The Bridesmaid's Secret by Sophie Weston, Meet Me in Istanbul by Pamela Kent, An Offer She Can't Refuse by Emma Darcy, Second Time's the Charm by Brenda Jackson, The Diary of a War Bride by Laurie Robinson, and Lost in Little Havana by Caridad Pinheiro. For the Nancy Drew read-along, I read 2 books, The Clue of the Broken Locket by Caroline Keene, and The Message in the Hello Oak, also by Caroline Keene, of course. For the Pinheiro Project online group, we first read 4 books by Claudia Pinheiro, which were Elena Knows, A Crack in the Wall, Betty Boo, and A Little Luck. And we also read The Angel of History by Rabbi Alamandin with this group. I read quite a number of books for the book clubs, and I am very happy with this result. I will continue to join the same book clubs in 2026 with the exception of category romance online book club. But I will continue to join romance readathons hosted by Sarah so that I will have a chance to read such books again. Roll the Dice TBR game, I rolled the dice either once or twice every month, and if I rolled 1, I read a TBR Vets book. If I rolled 2, I read From Pages to Screen book. If I rolled 3, I read random book from Goodreads TBR. If I rolled 4, I read a Turkish shelf book. If I rolled 5, I read a series finisher. And if I rolled 6, I read a Readathon book. The books that I read for this TBR game were Bir Süpermarketin Hikayesi by Dimitris Sotakis, Five Runaway Together by Enid Blyton, Balık İzlerinin Sesi, The Sound of Footsteps by Buket Uzuner, 84 Charing Cross Road by Helen Hanff, Animal Farm by George Orwell, Aşk Bunamaz by Nuran Harari, Düşlerde Kalan Girit Eleni by Ferda Bozoklar Ardalı, Dear Miss Lake by A.J. Pierce, Caging Skies by Kristin Lownans, Dünya Evi by Orhan Kemal, and The Manchurian Candidate by Richard Condon. Although this game was fun, because I want to focus more on a series and also my Turkish Shelf online book club, I decided to take a break from this TBR game in 2026. Go with the Flow 2025 challenge was hosted by Sarah and Jen, and I tried to choose the books added to Goodreads TBR before 2024. The prompt for January was to read a book with favorite color in the cover, and I read Matilda by Roald Dahl. In February, we had to read from an author with the same initial, and I read Kamelyalı Kadın by Alexander Dumas Fields. In March, the title has to have the half number of letters, and I read Melissa by Alex Gino. In April, we had to read a book that contains a word on page 100 in the title. I chose the word all, and I read Ferris the Mole by Teresa Medeiros. In May, we had to read a book from a different time period, and I read Yeşil Peri Gecesi by Ayfer Tunç. For June, we had to read a book with the same number of pages within 25, and I read Serenade for Nadia by Zülfü Livaneli. In June, we had to read a book with the same color spine, and I read Aşk Bunamaz by Nuran Hariri. In August, we had to read a book with a different genre, and I read The Tokyo Zodiac Murders by Soshi Shimada. In September, we had to read a book with the same word in the title, and I read Your Guide to Not Getting Murdered in a Quaint English Village by Maureen Johnson. In October, we had to read from an author with the opposite gender, and I read Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. In November, we had to have the same number of words in the title, and I read Dünya Evi by Orhan Kemal. In December, we had to read a book with a different format, and I read The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. Although choosing the prompts for this challenge was very fun, with the same reason as Roll the Dice challenge, because I want to focus on series and my Turkish Shelf online book club, I chose not to join the challenge this year, but I want to thank Jen and Sarah for this very fun challenge. Another goal of mine was to decrease the number of ongoing series, and I had 44 ongoing series in the beginning of 2025, and I had a side goal which was to concentrate on the series less than 2 books left. At the beginning of 2025, I had 44 ongoing series, and I was up to date in 3 series. Among those, I progressed in 6 of them, finished 8, and DNF'd 4 series. And I am up to date in 3 series again. I started 6 series in 2025, but I finished 2 of them and DNF'd 2 of them. So the number of ongoing series at the end of 2025 became 35. However, when I was preparing for the series cup video, I realized that newest books in 3 series that I marked as finished before 2025 were published. So the new number for 2026 became actually 38 for ongoing series. But this number is of course still less than 44. I consider this goal achieved. Although I'm very, very happy with achieving this goal, the side goal of concentrating on series with less than 2 books left was not achieved. So I decided to create a series cup with those series so that I will finally be done with those series that have been sitting on my Goodreads TBR for a very, very long time. For Reading Around the World Challenge, my goal was to read from at least 25 countries in total. And I read books set in 38 different countries. And the more important goal was to read books set in 10 new different countries. And the countries that I read from in 2 years since I started the challenge. And I read books taking place in 12 new different countries. And those countries were Argentina, Romania, Papua New Guinea, Netherlands, Belgium, Senegal, Libya, Slovenia, United Arab Emirates, Yemen, Sudan, and South Sudan. Like I mentioned in 2026 goals, I will continue with this challenge. Because this challenge, I think, gives me new perspectives all around the world. I, of course, read some books with dear friends. And I read 9 books with Amy. And we also DNF'd 1 book with her. I read 5 books with Loretta. The Dexter series. 2 books with Kristen. And 1 book each with Gaia, Rose, Emily, and Kelly. In the previous years, the number of booktubers that I read with were significantly higher, and I want 2026 to be like the previous years. I, of course, joined some monthly read-alongs and events. In 2025, for these events, the prompts were not very important for me. That's why I could participate in so many events. I chose to do a select number of prompts or chose not to do any prompts at all, but it was still a very big joy to be a part of so many online events. In the month of January, I joined TBR-athon. In February, I joined Mardi Gras Readathon, Filmtastic February, and Retro Romance Readathon. In March, I joined March Mystery Madness and Middle Grade March. In April, I joined People April. In May, I joined Middle Grade May, Spoonies Readathon, Mental Health May, and Misery May. In June, I participated in Joy Reading June. In July, I participated in Jane Austen July and Retro Romance Readathon again. In August, I joined Garb August. In the months of June, July, and August, I also joined Big Books Summer. In September, I joined Series September and Shorty September. In October, I joined Weektober. In November, I joined Dr. November Readathon. In December, of course, I joined and co-hosted the Christie's Missing Readathon. Like I said in my 2025 Reading Reflections video, being social is one of the most important things for me. I'm glad that I had the chance to join so many events. So as you can see, with the exception of a secondary goal in decreasing the number of series, I achieved all of my reading goals. Lastly, I want to say that I think the secret to being so successful in terms of reading goals was that I tried to balance 2 contrasting things that I liked in terms of reading, which are statistics and social reading. And this will be the same in 2026. This was my wrap up of my reading goals in 2025. Please comment down below. How did you do with your reading goals in 2025? If you're a new viewer, first of all, welcome. Please like and subscribe. Hope to see you very soon. Bye. For Turkish word of the day, since one of my goals is to read in as many different countries as I can, I thought different should be the word of the day. Different means farklı in Turkish, and farklı is our Turkish word of the day. Have a good day.